All right, so we're diving into something different today. You sent in Osamu Dazai's short story on love and beauty.
Okay.
And, just from that title, I knew it wasn't going to be a typical romance.
Right.
But what really stood out was the way Dazai tells this story. It's like this family writing project.
Yeah.
Where each member adds their own piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
To have 5 siblings,
Right.
each with these distinct personalities.
Yeah.
And they all contribute to the same narrative.
Right.
It's like a literary experiment in how different perspectives
Exactly.
shape a story.
And the story they create revolves around this eccentric old mathematician
Right.
who just doesn't seem to fit in with the world. But what's really intriguing is how each sibling's personality starts to seep into their portrayal of the mathematician. It's like we're getting 5 different interpretations of the same character.
It really does raise the question of whether they're truly interested in crafting this cohesive story.
Yeah, right.
Or are they using this as an exercise to reveal something about themselves?
Okay, so before we get too deep into the analysis, let's meet this quirky family.
Okay.
We have 5 siblings,
Right.
starting with the eldest brother. He's all about rules and order on the surface.
Yeah.
But turns out he's a bit of a softie underneath.
He's the type who pretends to hate those sentimental samurai films.
Right.
Yet you'll catch him shedding a tear when no one's looking.
Totally. And then there's the eldest sister,
Okay.
the literary one.
Yeah.
But she's fiercely private, insisting that her writing can only see the light of day
Wow.
after she's gone.
That makes you wonder
Yeah.
if she's afraid of judgment, or perhaps she sees her writing
Right.
as something too personal to share during her lifetime.
Okay, next up is the second brother, the resident cynic. He's dealing with some health issues, but finds solace in poetry,
Interesting.
which is an interesting contrast.
It really speaks to that duality in his character, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The cynicism, but masking a sensitivity
Right.
that finds expression through art.
And then we have the second sister,
Okay.
who's a bit of a narcissist.
Right.
The kind of person who almost entered a Miss Japan contest?
Oh, wow. You could just imagine the energy she brings
Oh, I know.
to the storytelling.
Right.
Probably injecting a healthy dose of drama and flair
Oh, yeah, for sure.
into it.
And rounding out the group
Okay.
is the youngest brother, the newly minted intellectual,
Okay.
who's all about lecturing his family on complex mathematical theories.
He's at that stage where every new piece of knowledge
Yes.
is a treasure he just can't wait to share.
Oh, no.
Whether or not anyone's interested
And
in.
presiding over this whole chaotic crew
Yes.
is their mother,
Right.
who seems to revel in their eccentricities.
She's like the audience just enjoying the show.
Totally. She's like the unifying force, the
Yeah.
one who sees the value in each of their unique perspectives. Okay, so we've met this wonderfully quirky family. Now let's see how their personalities come alive through the story they tell.
Right.
The youngest brother is the first to jump in. And as you might expect, his take on the old mathematician is a bit
Okay.
academic. He goes on about how mathematical traditions are holding back true innovation. Even using his own phone number as an example.
Oh, wow. It's almost as if he's trying to impress his family
Right.
with his newfound knowledge.
Yeah.
But it comes across as a bit forced.
Yeah.
A little too eager to prove his intellectual prowess.
And the siblings' reactions are priceless.
Yeah.
They're clearly humoring him,
Right.
but you can sense a bit of eye rolling going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's like watching a family inside joke unfold
Totally.
right in front of you.
And then the eldest sister steps in,
Okay.
completely shifting the tone of the narrative.
Yeah.
It's almost as if she's rescuing the story
Interesting.
from her brother's overly academic approach.
Yeah.
She focuses on a chance encounter between the mathematician and his ex-wife,
Okay.
adding a touch of drama and intrigue. She describes this scene
Yeah.
on a bustling Tokyo street,
Right.
where the mathematician runs into his ex-wife, who has this tiny, oddly shaped dog.
Interesting.
She even throws in some dialogue with the ex-wife, questioning the mathematician's newfound happiness and offering him a handkerchief because he's sweating so much.
That handkerchief becomes a recurring motif,
Oh, wow.
a symbol of their past connection. Even as they both try to pretend they've moved on.
Yeah.
It's a subtle but powerful detail.
Yeah.
That adds layers to their relationship.
And what I find really clever is how the eldest sister reveals the emotional undercurrent of the encounter.
Yeah.
Without explicitly stating it.
Right.
We see the mathematician's discomfort, his sweating, his need for the handkerchief.
Yeah.
It's subtle but effective storytelling.
And then just when we're getting drawn into this almost romantic scene, the second brother, a resident cynic, throws in a line that completely changes our perception.
What's that?
He suggests that the mathematician might just be putting on a show of happiness. That maybe things aren't as rosy as they seem.
It's like he's deliberately puncturing the romantic illusion that the eldest sister created. It makes you wonder if he's projecting his own cynicism about love onto the story.
Yeah.
Maybe reflecting his own experiences with heartbreak or disappointment.
That's the brilliance of Dazai's structure.
Right.
Each sibling's contribution not only adds to the plot,
but
it also reveals something about their inner world, their beliefs and anxiety.
Okay. And just as things start to get really intriguing, the eldest brother jumps in.
Right.
And true to form, he gets fixated on a detail you wouldn't expect.
What's that?
Instead of delving into emotions or motivation, he decides the most important thing missing from the story is a detailed description of the mathematician's appearance. And of course, this description happens to resemble a certain author he admires.
Who's that?
Ibsen.
Ibsen.
It's so typical of him to focus on appearances and try to shape the narrative according to his own ideals.
It highlights that tendency we all have to project our own values and preferences onto others, even in fictional contexts.
So we have this collaborative story unfolding with each sibling adding their own layer of complexity and intrigue. But it's not just about the plot. It's about how their individual personalities and anxieties shaped the narrative.
It's like we're watching them grapple with their own identity, their own beliefs about love and beauty through the act of storytelling.
And this is just the beginning. We're only starting to scratch the surface of what Dazai is doing here. So stay tuned, because in part 2, we'll delve deeper into the story's layers, uncovering the hidden meanings and symbolic details that make this such a fascinating read.
Sounds good.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too.
Welcome back. So as we were talking about those quirky siblings and, you know, their take on the old mathematician, I was struck by just how much Dazai packs into this seemingly simple story. It's like he's using this family writing game to explore some pretty big ideas about society, identity, and, you know, the very nature of happiness.
It is quite masterful.
The way he blends humor, satire, and these poignant moments of self-reflection. It's not just a funny story, it's a commentary on the human condition.
Okay, so you've mentioned satire a few times. Can you explain that a bit more for our listener? How is Dazai using humor to critique society in this story?
Well, satire is like using a funhouse mirror to reflect reality. It exaggerates certain aspects of society or human behavior to expose their absurdity or flaws.
So it's not just about making us laugh. It's about making us think.
Exactly, and Dazai does this brilliantly on Love and Beauty. Take the eldest brother, for example. His obsession with rules and appearances is played for laughs, but it also points to a deeper societal pressure to conform, to fit into these predefined roles.
Like his insistence on describing the mathematician's appearance.
Yes, as if that's the most important detail.
Exactly.
It's funny, but it also highlights how we often judge people based on superficial qualities rather than their true character.
Precisely. And then you have the second sister, the narcissist. Her constant preening and self-admiration could be seen as simply vain. But Dazai is using her character to explore a deeper societal issue, the pressure.
Yeah.
Especially on women.
Right.
To conform to certain standards of beauty.
It's like he's saying that narcissism isn't just a personality flaw.
Right.
It's a product of a culture that values outward appearances.
Exactly.
All else.
And even the youngest brother's overly academic rambling aren't just there for comedic effect.
Okay.
Dazai's using his character to satirize the way we often equate knowledge with status or power.
And the way the siblings react to his lectures.
Yeah.
Like kind of humoring him, but not really engaging.
Right.
It highlights how sometimes intellectualism can become a barrier to genuine connection.
It's a subtle but important point. Dazai suggesting that true intelligence lies not just in acquiring knowledge, but in knowing how to connect with others on a human level.
So it's not just about the characters themselves. It's about what they represent.
Exactly. Dazai is using these exaggerated personalities to hold up a mirror to society, forcing us to confront our own biases and expectations.
And then there's that cynical second brother. His perspective adds a whole other layer to the story.
His cynicism isn't just pessimism. It's a way of questioning those societal norms and expectations, especially when it comes to love and happiness. His doubts about the mathematician's newfound joy force us to consider whether happiness is always genuine or sometimes just a facade.
It's like he's the voice of reason, reminding us that life isn't always a fairy tale.
And that's an important point. Dazai isn't just critiquing society. He's exploring the human condition. The complexities of our emotions and the ways we try to navigate a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
So it's not just about pointing fingers at societal flaws. It's about acknowledging the struggles we all face as individuals. Trying to find our place in the world.
And one of the ways we cope with those struggles is through storytelling, which is another key theme on Love and Beauty.
The siblings are literally creating a story together. But it's more than just a game. It's a way for them to connect with each other, to share their perspectives, and maybe even to work through their own anxieties and uncertainties.
Exactly. And this idea of storytelling as a coping mechanism, as a way to make sense of the world, is something Dazai explores in many of his works.
So by creating this story within a story, he's not just entertaining us. He's inviting us to reflect on the power of storytelling in our own lives.
Absolutely. He's suggesting that we all tell ourselves stories, either consciously or unconsciously, to make sense of our experiences, to shape our identities, and to connect with others.
You know, this is making me rethink my own experiences with family storytelling. Have you ever noticed how certain stories get repeated over and over again?
Of course.
Almost becoming family legends?
Those shared narratives, even if they're embellished or exaggerated over time, they become part of our collective identity. A way of bonding and creating a sense of belonging.
It's like those stories aren't just about the events themselves. They're about what those events mean to us. How they've shaped our values and beliefs.
Precisely. And that's what Dazai is doing in On Love and Beauty. He's using the siblings' storytelling to explore not just the events of their lives, but the meaning they ascribe to those events, the anxieties they reveal, and the ways they use narrative to cope with the complexities of being human.
Okay, so we've talked about satire, we've talked about storytelling. But I'm also curious about the symbolism in the story. I know Dazai was a master of using symbols to add layers of meaning to his work. What are some of the key symbols in On Love and Beauty? And how do they contribute to the story's deeper message?
Well, one of the most prominent symbols is the old mathematician himself. He's not just a random character. He represents a certain type of outsider, an individual who struggles to conform to societal expectations.
You know, now that you mention it, he does seem to embody that sense of alienation we were talking about earlier. He's brilliant in his own way, but he doesn't quite fit in with the world around him.
And that's why he becomes such a fascinating figure for the siblings to project their own anxieties and desires onto.
Okay.
They each see something of themselves in him, whether it's his intellectual brilliance, his emotional vulnerability, or his struggle to find meaning and connection.
And then there's that handkerchief the eldest sister introduces. It seems like such a simple object, but I have a feeling it's more...
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
The handkerchief becomes a symbol of the past.
Okay.
Specifically, the mathematician's past relationship with his ex-wife.
Okay.
It represents that lingering connection, that sense of unfinished business that can haunt us.
Yeah.
Even when we try to move on.
And the fact that it smells like dogs adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah, dogs are often associated with loyalty and devotion.
Yeah.
But in this case, the dog scent seems to represent something more stifling, almost suffocating.
It's like a reminder of how past relationships, even when they're over, can continue to exert hold on us, shaping our perceptions, and limiting our ability to fully embrace the present.
It's interesting how Dazai uses such a mundane object to convey such complex emotions.
And then there's the setting of the story.
Okay.
Tokyo in the 1930s. That can't be a coincidence.
Of course not.
Okay.
The setting is crucial. In On Love and Beauty,
okay,
Tokyo in that era was undergoing a period of rapid modernization and social upheaval.
So the city itself becomes a symbol of this larger societal transformation, a backdrop against which the characters are trying to find their own identities and navigate their own personal journeys.
Precisely. And the way Dazai describes Tokyo, with its bustling streets, its mix of modern and traditional elements, it all adds to this sense of dynamism and uncertainty.
Okay.
It's a world in flux, a world where the old rules no longer apply.
Which makes the old mathematician's struggle to fit in even more poignant. He represents a resistance to those changes, a clinging to individual expression in a world that's becoming increasingly homogenized.
And the fact that he appears at the gate at the end of the story, almost as if he's been conjured into existence by the siblings' imaginations, suggests that this yearning for individuality, this resistance to conformity, is still alive and well, even in a rapidly changing world.
Wow. I'm really starting to see how all these pieces
fit together. It's like Dazai is creating this intricate tapestry of meaning, weaving together these different threads of character theme setting and symbolism to create something truly profound.
And what's remarkable is that he does it all with such a light touch. There's a sense of playfulness, a subtle humor that keeps the story from becoming too heavy or didactic.
It's like he's inviting us to play along, to engage with these ideas on our own terms, to find our own interpretations.
Yeah, and that's what makes his writing so enduring.
Right.
It's not just a story, it's an experience.
And an experience that stays with you long after you've finished reading. It makes you think about the power of storytelling, the ways we use fiction to understand ourselves and the world around us.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about Dazai's use of satire,
his exploration of storytelling, and the significance of the symbols he employs.
But there's still one more layer we need to peel back.
That's right, in part 3.
Okay.
We'll step outside the story itself.
Okay.
And consider its place within Dazai's larger body of work.
Okay.
We'll examine its connections to his other writings, his personal struggles, and the broader cultural context of his time.
Okay, it sounds like we're going even deeper into the mind of this literary genius. So stay tuned, because this deep dive isn't over yet. All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Dazai's On Love and Beauty. You know, we've explored the family's quirky dynamic, Dazai's satirical jabs at society, and the power of storytelling as a coping mechanism. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to examine.
And what's that?
Dazai himself.
Yes, of course, to fully appreciate On Love and Beauty. I think we need to understand its place within Dazai's larger body of work and the context of his life.
You mentioned earlier that Dazai was known for feeling like an outsider. How does that connect to this particular story and the themes he explores?
Well, Dazai's own life was marked by struggles with mental health, societal expectations, and a sense of not belonging. And these themes permeate many of his works, including On Love and Beauty.
It's like he's channeling those feelings of alienation.
Exactly.
And searching for meaning through his character.
The Old Mathematician, for example, embodies this outsider status. He's brilliant, but eccentric. Struggling to fit into a world that doesn't quite understand him.
And the siblings, despite their seemingly close-knit family, each grapple with their own anxieties and desires, using storytelling as a way to connect and express themselves.
It's almost as if they're each trying to find their own place in the world, just like Dazai himself.
It's interesting how sometimes the most personal struggles can give rise to the most universal stories.
Absolutely. Dazai's ability to tap into those shared human experiences of loneliness, longing, and the search for meaning is what makes his work so enduring.
And then there's the historical context. We talked about Tokyo in the 1930s being a time of rapid modernization and social change. How did that influence Dazai's writing and this story in particular?
Dazai was acutely aware of the societal shifts happening around him. The clash between tradition and modernity, the anxieties of a changing world. These themes are woven into the fabric of On Love and Beauty.
It makes me think about how each sibling represents a different response to those changes. The eldest brother clings to order and tradition. The second brother retreats into cynicism. The eldest sister seeks solace in art. And so on.
It's like Dazai is presenting us with a microcosm of Japanese society at a crossroads, exploring the different ways individuals grapple with uncertainty and change.
So it's not just a story about a family, it's a reflection of a particular time and place, a snapshot of a society grappling with its own identity.
And by understanding that historical context, we gain a deeper appreciation for the anxieties and desires that drive the character's actions.
It's fascinating how a seemingly lighthearted story about a family's writing game can reveal so much about the author, his personal struggles, and the broader societal forces at play.
So what's the takeaway for our listener? What's the lasting impact of On Love and Beauty?
Well, on one level, it's simply a delightful read.
A story filled with humor, quirky characters, and unexpected twists. But on a deeper level, it's an invitation to reflect on our own experiences with storytelling, family dynamics, and the search for meaning in a changing world.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of uncertainty and social upheaval, there's still beauty to be found in human connection, artistic expression, and the shared act of creating stories.
And perhaps by understanding Dazai's own struggles and the context of his writing, we can find new ways to connect with his work and appreciate the enduring power of his message.
Well, I think we've done it.
Yeah, I think so.
We've unpacked this seemingly simple story, revealing its layers of meaning, its connections to Dazai's life and times, and its enduring relevance for readers today.
Absolutely.
What are your final thoughts?
I think On Love and Beauty is a testament to the power of literature. To illuminate the human condition, to make us laugh and cry, to challenge our assumptions, and ultimately to leave us with a sense of wonder about the world and our place in it.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound insights come from the most unexpected places. Like a family gathered around a table, weaving a tale together.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So, dear listener, the next time you find yourself in the company of loved ones, why not try a little collaborative storytelling?
I think that's a great idea.
You might be surprised by the stories you uncover, the connections you forge, and the depths of your own creativity.
And until next time, happy reading.
Yes, happy reading.